Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Aesthetic Edge, the podcast where we dive deep into visionaries, operators, and aesthetic experts who are redefining the possibility in your industry. I am your host, Bethany Gifford, the founder of New Era Intel, and your guide to all things growth, systems, and modern med spa leadership. Today's guest is somebody who proves that operations are culture and leadership does not always wear a white coat. But first, a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by New Era Intel. At New Era Intel, we help medical spas, dermatology clinics, and plastic surgery practices who are struggling with inconsistent patient retention, underutilized CRM systems, and manual systems that hold back your clinic's growth potential so they can finally increase quality repeat bookings, streamline operations with AI automation, and grow predictable monthly revenue with the right systems and strategy. They're able to create a premium, seamless patient experience while freeing up their team to focus on what they do best. If you would like to take your business to the next level, head over to neweraintel.com to get started.
Today I'm joined by Mitch Leff, Chief Operating Officer, or also known as Chief Motivator, of Neinstein Plastic Surgery, a world-renowned breast and body-only surgical practice based in the heart of New York City. With nearly 50 team members across 2 high-performing facilities, Neinstein has become a destination for elite-level cosmetic care. Thanks in no small part to Mitch's relentless focus on culture, systems, and creating the best medical experience a patient could ever have. Mitch, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and a privilege to share my story, to share a little bit about our culture, and to just talk shop. It's nice to be included. I have to say, I've been behind the scenes many times for our doctors doing podcasts. So it's nice that your podcast is tailored to more of also besides the surgeons, like the people that make everything work in an aesthetic practice. So I feel included.
Absolutely.
I feel valued. I love that. So
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure to be
It
here.
doesn't work without you guys, 100% behind the scenes. But you're a little bit more than just behind the scenes. You're a man of every hat. Let's kind of
Yeah.
start with this title that you earned, Chief
Yeah.
Motivator. What does that mean for you day by day?
Yes. I promise I'll say it. I have to just give some love to our practice real quick. Newsweek did an article that came out with some rankings for America's Best Plastic Surgeons 2025 list, and Dr. Neinstein was voted #1 in the country for tummy tucks. So with that being our bread and butter, and he being the founder of our practice, and the name is his, Neinstein Plastic Surgery, I just had to share.
Awesome. That is awesome. Congratulations.
We have the licensing. Yeah, I was involved in getting. I mean, we could talk about it. Getting the licensing to share on this podcast that we were #1 at Tummy Tuck by Newsweek, but it's an honor and a privilege. It was voted on by over 8,000 people voted on this list, and he was #1 in the country for tummy tuck. So it's just a testament to everything we do. But yeah, I mean, Chief Motivator came when I was starting out at the practice, and in my Instagram handle is Mitch Motivates, and Dr. Neinstein was making me scrubs. And when I first came on, and he's like, oh, "Your title is Chief Motivator." It was in a second, and I really kind of grew into that role here, starting from part-time, coming from working in mental health. That was my background, working in addiction and mental health. And I just stepped into the role. And it really means on a day-to-day, my #1 job is to make all our patients and all our staff as happy as possible and make sure they're living up to their potential. Both staff and our amazing patients.
Awesome.
Seriously.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure your background and all of that has
Yeah.
been a real key factor in, to the patient's needs
Yeah.
and desires, and that's amazing. I mean, What kind of key pillars would you
Yeah.
say, is building this culture that you have right now?
Yeah. I mean, at Neinstein Plastic Surgery, we have core values, and I think that I embody all of them. And one is that we're always learning. Okay, and it sometimes cannot necessarily be about medicine. It could be like, oh, here's a good book, here's a good podcast. Okay, on that thought, we generously share knowledge with each other. So whenever we welcome ideas from anyone. There's no like rankings like you're this level employee, you've been here this long. Like someone that starts and they have a great idea, we'll hear them out. We're all experts in our field. Like I said, I used to work in addiction for like over a decade now. So like I've been doing operations in companies, like have a background in people management for a long time. And I really think that everyone here is honest, everyone here is by the book, and everyone here is just a principled like employee. And I feel like I embody that. I lived my life based off a set of principles, and no matter what situation I'm in, it's like my guiding thing. Like I was just on the phone with a colleague. Um, I th- Before we got on the podcast, I was like, Becca, I think I messed this up. I just wanted to tell you as soon as I wanted to get honest with you and just tell you I may have made a mistake. And then like so that's like and it turns out when you stick to your principles, like instead of like, you know, I don't know what someone else would have done, but instead of lying about something or fibbing the truth, I just went right into it and be like, Becca, I think I messed this up. I wanted to tell you as soon as I realized it. And then it turns out she was like, no, you didn't mess it up. We
Oh,
didn't even need to do that. So you didn't miss something. So
honesty is
um,
everything.
that's an example of like, yeah, but that's an example of being an honest man of principle and bringing that into the practice that I like
That's
pride myself
amazing.
on.
I know. People don't realize, well, people do realize everybody makes mistakes, but what they don't realize is when you can involve your
Yeah.
team and get everybody on board right away, those
Yeah.
mistakes are
Yeah.
almost can be remedied right away. So I love that.
Yeah. And, yeah, and another one of our key core principles at the practice is, graciously accepting feedback. So we all are like thrive off constructive criticism here in a positive way, not micromanaging, not like oh I don't like that yellow shirt with the blue pants, but like constructive criticism. And again, it's just like more about the principled approach, like a stoic approach to living your life and like operating our practice. So we're definitely interested in that. So and it's helped me tremendously in my
Absolutely.
role.
Well, I mean, you guys have a huge staff. You said your team is running near 50
Yeah,
across both facilities.
yeah, more
Wow.
than 50 now.
I mean,
Yeah,
and you and Dr. Neinstein are both huge hands-on leaders in your practice. How does this kind of impact
yeah.
staff morale and, I mean, ultimately the patient experience?
I mean, I think one of my favorite things that some of the doctors do is they share on social media what they're doing, um, before and afters, sometimes even morning routines. So, like, talk about being a hands on leader, setting the example. You know, Dr. Neinstein, like, I know him, he goes to bed at like 8:30, 9 p.m. So, like, and then, we're up early. And then the first thing that our surgeons do is they stop by the hotels or like a patient's apartment to see them if you had surgery earlier in the week, let's say, and he'll see the patient and then he'll come to the office for surgery. So it's like, I mean, I don't want to, we never talk about anyone else, but I'm just saying, like, if I was having surgery and I saw that my doctor was asleep early, up in the morning, going to the gym, like coming to visit me at the hotel, and then like smiling at 6:30 in the morning as he walks into the surgery center, I would trust that doctor with with my life
Absolutely.
in his hands. Um, so yeah, I mean, I've always been a man of action rather than, a man of talking. I feel like in this generation, there's a lot of keyboard warriors, and there's not enough people that are action based. And I practice what I preach. So I like to pride myself that I'm the same person 24/7. When I leave the office, when I'm at home, when I'm with my family, when I'm with my friends, when I'm with my coworkers, and I feel like that's attractive. We also have an amazing work culture here that we constantly plan team events. Tomorrow, we're doing an event. Dr. Anna is doing this amazing event called Wellness in Motion um, in Sag Harbor in the Hamptons. And she's inviting like any patient that she's had and any patient to bring a plus one. They rented a house. We brought in a couple fitness trainers. We bought all new like pink yoga mats because like Dr. Anna and her breast team are like very pink. There's a lot of they're like pink. There's a lot of cherries involved because she's our breast specialist. That's like the motto of the breast team. So like we're having like 4 employees driving to the Hamptons at 7 in the morning tomorrow
I
on a
love
Saturday.
that.
So like
Talk about
you
teamwork.
yeah, you can't make yeah, you can't make
No.
that culture up. It has to be like it takes a lot of hard work. And we you know earlier in the summer we did like it happened to be like the day after official summer. It was like June 22nd. We did like a welcome to the summer team dinner at the Central Park Boathouse. Um, like we spend a lot of time, energy, and resources in the culture, and most of it is built at home after hours, and then that gets like funneled into the office, and then almost every staff is patient facing, and it gets like that smile is you can't like our patients are no joke. Like our patients are smart, they no bullshit, and they can tell if you're faking a smile or faking being kind. Like everyone is real here, and like people care about their jobs, and it's just so amazing. And because of that culture, and it's so amazing to show up to an office like
That's
that.
amazing. That would be the type of place that I would want to go. Genuine people, happy,
Mhm.
healthy, clear-minded,
Yes.
disciplined, and enjoy being working around each other. Uh, in our last conversation, you
Yes.
had mentioned team silos in a pretty positive way. So now that we're kind of
Yeah.
touching on team and culture, could you kind of explain to the listeners how that structure works for you guys?
Yeah. I mean, so basically, we have we have 3 surgeons now at the practice. Okay. So each surgeon, it basically the silos are like, well, we're all together as a team, but in the front end, each surgeon has a surgical coordinator. Okay. And that surgical coordinator does the patients and the bookings for surgery. Then uh, that that surgeon has a nurse practitioner or two and has a medical assistant. And then we have about an MA staff assigned. Again, like a lot of we're all together, but we have admin staff who, besides the normal responsibilities, like we'll have one for Dr. Anna, one for Dr. Chris, and one for Dr. Neinstein. So we really, when we get incoming inquiries or you'll have a patient, we know based on what surgeon that patient had surgery with or has or is having upcoming surgery with, which person is to take that message, take that call, take that inquiry. And it just makes everyone's life so much easier because then there's like, I mean, in a perfect world, it's not always like that, a balance of work. So not one person feels like they're working too like overworked or whatever. So it's really worked for us. And then that way, you know, each patient gets the attention and time and effort that they deserve.
Absolutely. Seems like a very fluid
And then,
workflow for sure.
yeah, yes, absolutely, absolutely, and it's been great. And then like Obviously, there's an exceptions if people go on vacation. We've had, or if, I would say the staff is majority female. Last year we had a handful of nurses on maternity leave, or staff. So like stuff happens, and then we just like kind of shuffle around a little of the parts,
I
and we
love
make it
that.
work.
I love that. Teamwork,
Mhm.
structured, organized,
Yes.
being part of a team. I worked in dermatology for about 10 years, and we did not have that
Well,
structure. And it tended to be chaos because we had, multiple plastic surgeons and multiple dermatologists and,
yeah,
kind of all over the place. So I like that method. I like it a lot. I could see how,
yeah, but yeah, yeah. Look, the method works for like it works for 75% of like the
yeah,
patients all over the place. But then, like, the best part is the other 25% is literally just the first available or the first person to take an inquiry or interact with the patient is just helping that patient, which is so amazing to see. No one says, "Oh, that's Dr. Neinstein's patient. It's not mine." Like, hold on, let me get someone else to help you. Everyone just steps in, and then we figure it out afterwards, which is like the best that people do that on
yes,
their own, which means that they're happy and they care, and that we say if it's not good for the hive, it's not good
yeah,
for the bee. You know,
100%. Well, talking a little bit about patients, can you kind of walk us through like a typical patient journey, kind of what that looks like from, an initial inquiry all the way to like a year post-op?
yeah, yeah. I mean, the most common way that we get patients is patients referring other patients. So we'll be introduced somehow to a patient that says they want to book, and then we schedule a consultation. Okay. Now, unless even if they're out of country, like we've had patients fly in for consultations, like I'm a big proponent in like if you're having someone put a knife to your body, like at least have them take a look at you first. Like even if you live in Florida, like we had a patient that had surgery earlier this week, and I was like pushing her to come in to do an in-person
For sure.
consultation. Um, if you can't be here, we do virtual consultation. So the next step is to set up a consultation in person or virtual. From there, you're introduced to the surgical coordinator who 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 you takes a percent of the fee for a deposit, and then you have a date. Okay, you don't have a date until you book your deposit, and then from there, after you book your deposit, um, the coordinator introduces them to hotels if they want to. We suggest staying sometimes 7 to 10 days around the area. We have a private duty nursing team. We have Amazon list of supplies to order. We have masseuses to set up because we love massages after surgery. And the coordinator will kind of make all those introductions. Then you'll be introduced to our surgical optimization team, which helps you get all your clearances, blood works, etc. And then you have your surgery. Um, then you have follow up appointments. Your and then your family Neinstein family for life.
I love that. Usually people that scale,
Yeah,
big, they kind of lose that one-on-one patient touch, but obviously your reviews and
yeah,
recent awards say completely different.
yeah,
So that's definitely kept you on that
yeah,
five-star experience for sure.
yeah. And this is the one-on-one patient touch is really about going the extra
Absolutely.
mile. And if anyone is interested in like improving their practice, what I would say is look into hospitality industries like food and hotels, and like study people that are famous in those industries and that have made a name for themselves in those industries. My favorite example of this is in the book Unreasonable Hospitality by Will, I think Guardero is his last name. He was, it's a book about this guy who used to work at 11 Madison Park. It's about the food industry. And I remember he gave, this is like the most meaningful example of like just personal touch for to a patient or to a client or to someone that's entering your place of business. Um, they did this thing at the restaurant called like a surprise. So like if you've seen the show The Bear, like they copied it a little bit.
Great show.
So like basically, yeah, and basically it's like you do anything to make the people happy. Like it doesn't have it. It usually it's around food, but like in like an episode this past season, the surprise was like he took them in the back, made fake snow, and gave them hot chocolate.
Yeah. I remember.
But like in the right, but so that was like their surprise, and like the people will remember it forever. But like a real example is like in this book, like one time they rented the restaurant. Okay, they rented like sleighs for them to go like, and they took the sleighs after they ate to like Central Park to go like sledding in the snow. But which is amazing. But the most memorable example for me is like someone overheard the family at the table talking about that they it's their last night in New York and they didn't get a chance to eat a New York style hot dog.
Uh,
And this costs like $1. It's not this is not like this is not like this is not buying someone who is your patient like an expensive gift. But so they did something like they prepared like a New York. They went and got New York City hot dogs from like a cart vendor, and they gave it to the patients as part of the meal, as part of the surprise. And it was like the most memorable, thoughtful thing they could have done, and like it just like made their trip. And this is in the book. And like my point is, if you want to make a memorable experience for someone, it's not always about money. Like it's not always about spending money. It's about being thoughtful, like reading the room, having common sense, and like that is my takeaway for anyone trying to increase the practice. Like don't think how much money can I spend to make this person happy. Think like what can I do that's thoughtful, that's memorable, that will make them have an amazing experience with Neinstein Plastic Surgery. Like that's what I constantly think about 24/7, 365.
yeah. I mean, not only the exquisite work that you guys provide and results,
Yeah.
it's obviously culture. I mean,
Yeah.
you're in the people business, and a lot of people kind of forget that. We're not just here to give a service in and out, move along.
Yeah.
You guys are in the people
Yeah.
business, and it's aesthetics, it's your body. Your emotions are involved, not just looks. It's all encompassed. So that's incredible.
Exactly.
Um, so,
Exactly.
what led your team to be hyper focused, exclusive on breast and body, and how did that kind of shape the brand?
I mean, it's honestly something that we've just always done. I mean, it's what it makes sense to us. I mean, I've said this to you a little bit, like we wanted to just be the best in one thing, and that's body surgery. We wanted to to be the most experienced, to do and just to keep on practicing on the same thing. Something as like we wanted the nurses to see the same type of scars and the same type of body garments we're putting the patients in, right? um, and we wanted to just do the same thing. And what started happening is then we got good at that, the the hyper specialization of breast and body surgery, and then people started coming from around the world to want to come to the person that's specializing in the breast and body surgery, and it just worked out well for us,
That's amazing.
and it just made sense to us. That's the best way to put it.
I remember you saying, it kind of changed your whole perspective on referral relationships, and especially the reputation in the market, master of or doer of all, master of none, whatever. It's
Yeah.
like when you
Yeah.
hyper specialize and everything. So talk a little bit about the referral network, because I know a lot of
Yes.
people, that's a big thing in the
Yeah.
industry.
Yes. I mean, for us, the hyper specialization also helps with that referral network, right? Like, we'll say to a dermatologist, like, we don't do this, but we may have patients that after they're in their post-op healing may need to see a dermatologist for something, and we don't do it. This is great. We'd love to get your contact info, and we'll send them to you. We'll have a patient that comes like from Dubai to have surgery with us, And then she'll be like, oh no, while I'm in America, I want my nose done too. Who do you recommend? And we have a couple people that we work with that do faces because we don't. Um, we will have like, for example, here's another example. A patient will come to us and their BMI is too high for surgery. It's like, let's say their BMI is 35. We're not going to say, oh, see you next year, like you're not a candidate for surgery. No, we're going to say like, meet such and such. They can help you on your weight loss journey. Maybe they'll prescribe you a GLP-1. We're going to be in contact with you because I know this person because our kids go to summer camp together. Um, and when you get down to your BMI, they're going to tell me, and we're going to schedule you right back for a consult, and we're going to get a date for surgery on the calendar. And what happens is, because we work with all these different people, they just naturally send us back patients for referrals because they do a good job with our patients, and we do a good job with their patients, and it just makes the world go round. And it's worked out well, and it's part of the hyper specialization model.
Absolutely. Yeah, referrals are the best. Most of them are
Yep.
free, which is great. But let's talk growth because I know you guys don't rely solely on referrals. What are some of your most effective marketing channels right now?
We love social media. Um, we love Instagram and TikTok. We love sharing before and after journey pictures and videos and content of moms. And the most for me to see, the most rewarding thing is like a mom like on a beach in St. Bart's that texts Dr. Neinstein a picture like, I have not been able to wear this bikini in 15 years.
Oh, I love
You know,
that.
like, someone posting at a restaurant with their husband, like, I just got to fit in this dress again. Like, I haven't worn this since I first met my husband before we had kids. Like, that is the best marketing money can buy.
Yeah, definitely word of mouth and,
Uh,
social influencers. I love that. And just everyday
yep.
people. I mean, real
Yep.
life results are definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh-huh.
once you get kind of, let's take it step by step, for those that are wanting to know exactly how it goes. After you get that referral, they come in, handling the lead coming in and following up and booking. What kind of systems and tools are you using to do that?
I mean, the best way to do everything is just live in the moment. So yes, we'll mark on the patient's profile in the scheduling software who made the referral, but we have handwritten thank you. We have empty thank you cards almost like every station of the office. Like, picture in a medical office, like they have like the stations where they have the exam gloves. Like, we have that with thank you cards. So the best way for us is to immediately write a thank you card, and sometimes we send gifts. We send flowers. Thank you for sending us a patient. I send flowers to their office. If we know, again, like being thoughtful, if we know that someone likes a certain bottle of whiskey, like I'm not a drinker because I've been sober 17 years, but there's like a plate, like a surgeon from the Midwest, we sent a bottle of bourbon because we knew that like he loves bourbon, and like bourbon is made in Missouri. So like we sent him that as a thank you. So, but we do things in the moment and we mark it down, but that's the best way to guarantee that you thank someone for a referral.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
Yep. Yep. There's a lot of, and what's the best is like, because we're so open about what we do, like we don't like, there's no real secret sauce. Like Dr. Neinstein has always been like, you want to see? Look what I do. Be a surgeon, go to bed at 9:30 and wake up at 4. Like he posts time stamps for everything he does, and we all do the same. Like, there's no secret sauce. We're open about everything we do. If we send someone a gift, they'll send us a picture and we'll put it on online. Like, so it's clear that like we sent them a gift and they said thank you for the referral. It's just like, it's hard to keep up. Then
Yeah.
that's when the culture comes in. That's when the culture of hard work comes in, and we're all in this together. Like, because you know If it was easy, more people would be doing it.
Yeah,
But like we're laying out the playbook for how to have a successful practice.
yeah.
But it's just not. It's easier said than done.
You're definitely going the extra mile, and I think that's a huge reason why you guys stand out so much.
Yes.
And I mean, patient retention is kind of hard in a surgery type of business. Most people come for one and done. And this is a good way to be keeping patients connected to the brand, long after the OR, because they're going to remember that for the rest of their lives. Like they went way above and beyond to make me feel special and connected, and all the referrals too. So I like that. Great
Yeah.
approach. Absolutely great.
Yeah.
How are you tracking like KPIs within the business? Weekly or monthly? How do you kind of keep a pulse on business health?
I mean, look, each each kind of group of team, like admin or sales, the sales surgical coordinators, um, we we're definitely data driven, and our scheduling and booking software allows us to be like that. And we have weekly and monthly meetings with the different teams to discuss some of that stuff.
That's good. Yeah, keeping it
Yeah.
all coordinated.
Yep.
Well, looking forward 6 to 12 months out, what's next for your practice and what would be something that would make that vision easier to achieve?
I mean, look, we're slow, sustainable growth. So in 6 to 12 months, the only thing that I know for sure is that like we're going to be making sure we are making patients happy and having the best medical experience they've ever had in their life. And then things will just naturally happen on their own growth wise if that's our main focus. Like that's my main focus. Um, and it's always just like honing the skills that we have, and like we take again the hyper specialization approach to everything we do. So like in 6 to 12 months, like I hope that I can read a couple more books, listen to a couple more podcasts, and like have more amazing experiences with patients where I'm learning and growing how to treat them better. Like so that's
Well,
kind of like where our mind is at. Not like, oh, in 6 months we're gonna have, you know, another office and another surgical center and two more doctors. Like we don't think really like that.
that's good. Absolutely. Well, I mean, you guys have grown substantially, but keeping it small and quaint and being able to focus on patient result and patient care. And I think that's an absolutely amazing thing. And our listeners are going to watch this podcast and learn how to grow and shift from
Yes.
you for sure. So I hope everybody
Yes.
has been taking notes and is learning how to treat their patients correctly and making themselves a 5 star as well. Um, we have a lot of practices out there that are wanting to grow and do this. Is there any small little last piece of advice that you could give them to make sure that their sustainability is matching yours?
Yes. Here's the piece of advice. Go to our website, neinsteinplasticsurgery.com. Follow, check me out on social media, Mitch Motivates, Dr. Neinstein, Dr. Neinstein, Dr. Funderburg, Dr. Anna, all our staff. Just please check us out. Message us, DM us, go to the website, call us, um, follow along, and we'd love to connect.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard it. You know where to reach them in Mitchell for sure. And if you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend in the industry. And until next time, thank you so much,
Thanks
Mitchell.
for having me. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye.